Hello and welcome back to the second part of Ali Takes Django tutorial. In this episode, we're going to talk about URLs and views in Django. First of all, let's see what they do. Here's a simple diagram for how URLs and views work. We have the client at the top, which is the browser, which requests a page from our website called example.com/index.html. This request first goes to our urls.py file inside Django. The urls.py file looks at the URL or page being requested. We define our URLs inside this urls.py file to let Django know that there's a page with that link. Also inside urls.py file, we tell Django what to do when this page is being requested. The urls.py file calls a function inside the Views.py file, which then sends a response back to the browser to be displayed. This is how URLs and views work in Django in really simple terms. Let's see it in actual code now. Hello, and welcome back to the code view. So let's see how urls.py works inside actual Django code. First of all, I want to make a new terminal, and inside of this terminal, we want to activate our virtual environment because it makes our life easier. So I'm just going to go to the parent directory. I'm not sure what that is. There we go. So inside here, we need to also activate our virtual environment script as such. And as you can see, we are now in our virtual environment. So now I will actually go to the to-do app directory as well. And let's first of all run our Django server. And let's go to this link and make sure everything works. There we go. So the thing is, I don't want this to be my home page, right? And I want to make another home page that will display something else. I don't want the default Django home page. So how do I do that? To do that, I will first of all need to define the index or the home page URL as a URL or as a path inside Django's urls.py. And the way we do that is we leave an empty URL. So the way this path function works is when you call it, you pass it a URL here. And let's say I didn't have this empty string here, but let's say I had about. This would mean that when I go to my website like this, and I go to the about page like this path will execute. So Django will look inside the URL patterns, and then it will find this, which matches with this. So then it will serve whatever I put in here. Now, if I had, let's say, contact us here, I would need to go to the contact us URL. So you define URLs in this way. And if I want to define the home page URL, it's just going to be an empty string because, as you can see, there are no strings in the home page. Or there isn't a URL in the home page. So now that I have this here, I also need to pass in the Views.py function. But we don't have a Views.py file here yet. So I will create one. Click. And inside of here, you want to import HTTP response as such. So HTTP response returns a simple text-based response to the URL we want to serve. So let's actually create our function inside Views.py as well, and I want to name it home page. And then this will take in a request parameter because the urls.py, when we call this, will put in a request. So inside here, we want to return an HTTP response. And let's say, hello and welcome to our website. And then this basically means that if it works, when we go to the home page, we should see this text. So let's actually we need to also call this function, call the views function inside of our Urls.py file, so that when we go to the home page, it calls this function and then it returns this response, which we'll then see in our browser. So views.home page is our function. So it gives me an error. It says views is not defined. And the reason for that is we're not importing views yet. So the urls.py file has no idea what views is. To prevent that, we need to actually import views.py as well. And we do that using this. The dot here means that it looks at the directory the urls.py file in, and then it tries to import views. And as you can see, views and URLs are in the same directory, so we should be good. Now if we save this, as you can see, we have no errors. If we go to the server again and refresh, as you can see, we actually see the message we defined. So we can put any other thing we want here, and let's say test 1, 2, 3, save it. Django automatically refreshes our server, as you can see. And now if you refresh, we see test 1, 2, 3. So this is how URLs and views work. Let's actually define another URL because I want you to be able to see how this string works. So let's do about, the about page. And then we will need to call views.about. And we will need to define an about page in the views file and then return an HTTP response. And let's name this about page. And then let's change this back to home page. Save this. And then save this. And then if let's refresh, we see home page. But if we go to about, we see the about page. As you can see, we now have two defined URLs. And the admin page is another URL, which we'll touch on later in the course. So do not delete this. But I hope that made sense. I hope you learned how views and URLs worked. And in the next episode, we will see how to actually serve HTML files instead of basic text responses. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you in the next episode.